All right. Barakallahu fikum. Today, inshallah ta'ala, I would like to talk to you about renting and hiring. Those are the same. Maybe some people use them in different ways, but they are the same. For example, I think someone would probably say, at least an American, they would say rent a house or a car. And they would say hire a worker, for example. And these are really the same. So that means that you hire a house or a car, and it means you rent a worker. So, what is this? Renting and hiring. Uh, we're not going to call it a sale, but uh, if we want to just to make you understand its point, then it's like a kind of a sale. It's a deal, like a sale is a deal. It differs from a sale in some different ways. But if it were a sale, what would it be? It would be uh selling a right temporarily. Selling a right temporarily. What does that mean? Okay. A right is a benefit. Yani a use. Selling that. But the reason why a rental is not really a sale is because a sale is not temporary. What does it mean though to sell a right though? Before you get to the temporary part, what does it mean selling a right, selling a benefit? And then explain to me temporary here. Yes. Okay. So there's two types of things you can buy. I'm talking about a sale now. You can buy an object or you can buy a right, which yani means a benefit. Yani you can buy, yeah, a right or a benefit. Either of those. What's an example of buying an object, such as a car, yani a house, food, etc., an animal? What's an example of buying a right? An example of buying a right is like buying the right to have water routed to your land. Buying the right to have water routed to your land. Like what? Like, for example, you have a plot of land, and your neighbor also has land, and there's a river by your neighbor's land. This river does not go to your land. But you want to get some of that water to your land. How would you do it? Yani, you could buy the right to have it routed, yani channeled to your land. So you do a deal with your neighbor and you tell him, I want to buy the right to have water routed to my land. It's going to go through your land. It's going to be our deal here. Now, are you buying your neighbor's land? No. So it's not an object. Are you buying the water? No. So you're not buying an object. Are you buying? What are you buying? You're buying the right to have this water routed to your land. The right. Now that's your right. What if your neighbor sold his land? He can't sell also your right to have that water routed to your land. When your neighbor sells his land, he cannot also sell the right to have the water routed to your land. It's not his to sell. What do we say is one of the conditions of a seller or a buyer? That he's an owner. Can't sell something you don't own. Okay. So that's an example of a right. Now, is there any question before I continue? Okay. So a rental is selling a right, but temporarily. So this very same scenario, how could this look as a rental? So as a rental, how this could look is that your neighbor says, hey, I got a deal for you. I will rent to you the right to channel the water from the river through my land. This is a rental, means temporary. You pay me such and such at the beginning of the month, and I will open the channel from my land to yours. Yani, I will open the channel so that the river water can flow to your land through mine. Then after a month, I will close the channel. Okay, that's valid. So that is the temporary sale of a right, but we don't really want to call it a sale. That's just to make the scenario more relatable. So it's a rental. Renting a right temporarily. Okay. Let me bring the word sale back, though. Why a rental is not a sale? Because of the temporariness of it. Okay. Why are we saying a right only? Are you saying I cannot rent a car? Isn't the car an object or a horse? Why are you saying a right? Because when we talk about the ownership here, in a rental, the ownership does not transfer, the ownership of the object does not transfer. The ownership of the object does not transfer. That means the one who originally owned the object still owns the object after renting it to you. So that's why what you got was not ownership of the object. You might say, what? Do I own anything? He has my money. What do I have? You have the right to use whatever you rented. Its right is yours, and the one who owns the object lost the right. So a rental separates the right to an object from the object itself in terms of ownership. A rental separates the right to the object from the object itself in terms of ownership. Now, in terms of physical existence, you cannot separate the use of the object from the object. Yani, how you gonna ride the car without the car? Or how would you ride the horse without the horse? You need the object to achieve the benefit, but you don't own the object. You only own the benefit. And then if the one who owns the object comes to you and says to you, give me my object back, you say to him, no, Well, it is yours, the object, but the benefit is still mine, meaning the right. The right to it is still mine. I will not give it back to you until I have satisfied my right to it. Then you can have what you own after that. So that's why it's not really a sale. It's a different type of deal we're going to call a rental, or we're going to call it a hire. Okay. So that's what it is in the first place. Let me, before I forget, make this example of the water being routed to your land more relatable. How are we paying for internet? Is that something you can pay for? Or how we are paying for gas, how we are paying for electricity, how we are paying for water? Is there anything else that goes to a person? Phone service. These things are being routed to you. So then you're going to rent that or buy that. If you buy it, it's yours, not temporarily. The right is yours, not temporarily. If you rent it, the right is yours temporarily until the contract expires. Then the right goes back to the one who owns the object. I think that's clear. So someone doesn't accept for you to use his internet connection, for example, then if that's his right that he pays for, that he has routed to him, he has hired its supplier, its router to route it to him, for example, then that's his right. That's like a canal that went to his land. And you're like a person who's going and taking from going into someone's private property to get to that canal. You would be like a person going into someone's private property to access the canal without permission of the owner of the property. Okay. So I think that's all clear so far. Now, a rental, it has a dealer. Yani the renter and the tenant, yani the employer and the employee, the same thing. And it has also words which are also the proposal and the acceptance. And it has the subject of the deal, which is going to be the salary or the rent. Yeah, and you have to pay the rent for your house. You have to pay the rent for your car if you're renting it. You have to pay the salary of your employee whom you hired. And the subject is going to be a task or a time When it was a sale, we said a price and an item. Now we're out of sale. Now we're in something else, rental or hiring. So instead of price and item, we're going to say the salary and the task or the time, or the rental and the task or the time. Okay. Like a sale, the salary must be known. The rent must be known. Exactly. This is why you cannot be hired indefinitely. This is why you cannot be hired indefinitely. What does that mean? It means you got a job. You've been looking for a job for a long time. Now you finally got a job. When is your job over? I don't know. Maybe I'll work there for 20 years. Or maybe I'll find something soon, in a year or two. There is no end date for this job. That's not valid, not valid. Why it's not valid? Because it puts you into the realm of risky business. Risky business. نهى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن بيع الغرر. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbade the dangerous sale. He forbade the risky business. What is the risky business? When one or both partners, yani one or both dealers, no, here, dealer. When one or both dealers do not know the outcome of the deal, or the most likely outcome is failure. So if you were to say, what you mean I don't know the outcome of the deal? He told me how much money he's going to pay me, and he's going to pay me every other week, and he puts the money in my hand. I know how much I'm going to get paid. Where's the problem here? Problem is that what we are talking about here is that you need to know how much you're going to get paid all together. What are you being hired for? Yani, for how much you are being hired? How much he's going to wind up paying you in the end? So if the answer is it's unknown, then it's not valid. And likewise, how much work are you going to do for him? When is your task completed? Or when does your time run out? So if the answer is there is no completion of the task, then that's not valid. It means that you don't know the outcome. Or there is no expiration for the time. Then the meaning is you don't know the outcome. Even if you are getting paid steadily every week. Now, there's a way around this easily. Inshallah, yani. In concept, it's easy. In practice, the other person has to accept. But in concept, it's easy. I'll come back to it, inshallah. So the subject of the rental is the salary or the rent for the task or the time. One or the other. Or is very important here. Or the time. Not both of them. If you mix both of them, then your deal is invalid. Your rental or your hire is invalid. Why? Because once you mix both of them, then it became risky. Because then you charge the person with completing the task in a certain time. This you cannot do. Either you hire him for the task or you hire him for the time. So what's an example? For example, you need plumbing done in your house, or you need electrical work done in your house, or something else, or you're hiring someone to install a guard railing by your steps, for example, or you're hiring someone to do some cement work around your house somewhere, or you're hiring uh like this, for example. So there's something you need completed. There's a whole task that can be done from beginning to end. So, for example, the plumbing, what's the task? For example, the task is that all of the faucets in the house run and all of the drains in the house drain. Yani the whole system is working. The toilet flushes, goes how it's supposed to go, for example. All of the plumbing in the house is functional. That's his task. You do that, and then Yani, you have done your job. Inshallah, if you do it well, I'll recommend you to others. So, how long that's going to take? Usually, for something like that, you're not going to hire the guy for his time, and he's not even going to accept to be hired for his time. You need to hire him for his task. And then it might take him, for example, 3 days or 5 days or 4 days or 2 days, like that. He might work for some hours one day. He might work for fewer hours the next day, like this. So he has been hired for a task, not for a time. That's valid. Or you hire him for a time. For example, you say to him, I'm going to hire you. I want you to work from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. or from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. You're going to show up for me here 9 p.m. from 9 a.m. Don't be late. We're going to get started immediately. So he says, I accept. So when he shows up, what's he going to do for you? Whatever you tell him to do. Because why? Now you hired him for his time. So now you're going to say to him, good for you. You showed up 5 minutes early. I like your work ethic. Now, in 5 minutes, we're going to start because that's our deal. Okay. No, my second hand is just about to hit the 12. Okay. It's 9 a.m. Pick up this rake here. I want you to rake this lawn first. When you're done with that, let me know. I'll tell you what's your next task after that. So he's not hired for the particular task, he's hired for the time. Then he's going to do what you tell him to do during the time. How should you hire someone? Whatever way is most advantageous for you as the hirer. How should you offer your services? Whichever way is more convenient for you, more advantageous for you as the worker, as the agent. How are you guys going to agree? That's called, what's that called? Bargaining. You bargain. So he says to you, I want to hire you like this. You say, no, I don't do it that way. I do it this way. So he might say, okay. So what's your price? Then you say to him, my price is this. He says, well, I don't do those prices. I do these prices. So you say, okay. So like this, you bargain with him. Come to an agreement. Although I'm saying bargain with him here, I'm only saying that with the meaning of coming to an agreement. But when I say bargain here, and also when I say agree to what is most advantageous for you, I don't mean that, Yani, I don't mean to recommend for you to try to always talk a person down to a lower price. It's not sunnah to do that. I don't know if it's sometimes sunnah. But the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he praised the one who's easygoing when dealing. Easygoing when dealing. What does that mean? It means, for example, when it's time for him to pay his employee, khalas, he just pulls his money out of his pocket and he gladly pays his employee. Doesn't argue with him, doesn't nitpick with him, for example, he will pay him. Khalas. It's easy. Or when he needs to pay a debt, any debt, which paying the salary is a debt, then he pays it without a tight fist and without a deep pocket. Or, for example, when he wants to request his payment, he requests his payment in an easy way, not in a hard way. And included in that is to agree to a price without a debate. The debate is the bargaining. To agree to a price without a debate. I'm not saying absolutely. And sometimes you're going to try to talk the person down. Sometimes, like if you are dealing on someone else's behalf, didn't we say one of the conditions of the dealer is to have authority? So if you have authority, it means you are dealing on someone else's behalf. When you are dealing on someone's behalf, then you must pay market price or less. And you must take market price or higher when you are dealing for someone else on someone else's behalf. When dealing on someone else's behalf, it's obligatory on you. Yani either you're going to do exactly the price he named. You're going to say, if he said to you, sell this for such and such amount, then that's what you're going to sell it for. But if he just tells you, sell this for me or rent this out for me without giving you a particular price. So this means now it's under your management. It's under your discretion. You have room to manage it the way you see fit. You still must, when it comes to taking for that one, take market price or higher. And when it comes to giving on that one's behalf, paying out on that one's behalf, you pay out market price or lower. Again, that's if you don't have specific instructions to deal at a certain price, or if he gives you permission. If he says to you, just get rid of it. I don't want any more. Above market price, below market price, liquidated, get rid of it. Then you have permission now. Okay. So you're going to be hired for a task or for a time. Not both of them at the same time. Okay. Now, when is the payment due? The payment, if you don't agree when the salary is due. Now, didn't we say when we talked about sales, the dealer is one integral, the contract is a second integral, the subject is a third integral, and it's possible to divide each one by 2. Then you're going to get 6 integrals. And since we are dividing each one of the original 3 by 2, then it means really each pair are like the same thing. One dealer, number 1 is the dealer. That means the renter and the tenant, each one is a dealer. They are like the same. The proposal and the acceptance, they are like the same. The salary and the task or the time, they are like the same. Okay, so here, The salary and the task being the same. Yani, think of it again like a sale. When you go to the store and buy something, the seller who's taking your money, it's like he's buying your money with what he's selling to you. You are buying what he's selling to you with your money, and he is buying your money with what he's selling to you. That's how they are like the same thing. Also, here in this count on the screen for you, number 5 and number 6, they are like the same thing. So, meaning, why I'm going through all of this? So that you don't separate the salary that's owed from the task or the time that's owed. Both of them are like the same thing. Because I'm about to pose a question. I was about to pose this question: when is the salary due? But really, that question is as if it's biased question, unfair question. Because not only the salary is in question here, also the task is in question here, or the time. Are we going to talk about when the salary is due and we're not going to talk about when the task or the time is due? It's the same thing. So then, when is the subject of the rental or the hiring due? Then it depends. Did you agree to a method? Did you agree to a method? Like, did you agree you're going to pay him in installments? You know, what I am saying here means that you know 100% of what you're going to pay. 100%. That's why the indefinite hiring is not valid. You don't know 100% of what you're going to pay. And you don't know 100% of when your task will be complete. When your task will be completed 100%, you won't know. When your time will be completed 100%, you won't know. And then that's what takes you into the realm of risky business. So that you know, Yani, so that each one knows 100%, then you're going to agree. So, did you agree to some way that you're going to pay him when the whole thing is over? Or you're going to pay him half now, half when it's done? Or you're going to pay him each day in increments? Whatever you agreed to, then that's what it is. If there's an agreement. An agreement at the time of the contract. There's a proposal and an acceptance. The proposal is like to say, I hire you for such and such task for such and such amount. Then you say, I accept. Or you say, hire me for such and such task for such and such amount. And then the other one says, I accept. So the one who makes the proposal should know 100% of the subject from his end and your end. Both of you need to know 100%. You both need to know 100% of the subject. Okay, so what if you don't agree? And how would that be? How could it be that you don't agree? We talk about when it's due. This is what we're talking about now. How could it be like, for example, you just said only, hire me for such and such task for such and such amount. You didn't say for such and such amount that is due to be paid at such and such time. That part is not agreed upon. You only said, hire me for such and such task for such and such amount, or hire me for such and such time for such and such amount. So if you agreed to that for such and such amount, due at such and such time, if you agreed to that, and when you said due at such and such time, then that's what your agreement is, so no problem. Now honor your agreement. But what if you only said, hire me for such and such task or time for such and such amount? And then the person said, I accept. Now, just like in a sale, what happens? Ownership transfers just by those words. Ownership transfers. So then when can you request the task or the time be fulfilled? And when can he request the salary? Immediately. I said, when can you request? You can request it immediately if that's how your contract was done. Either one of you. So it means you hired him. You didn't agree to any time. Maybe that's fine for you. No issue. Maybe you forgot, but maybe it's fine. You're going to get him to do the work. No problem. You hired him. So you gave him the money even, let's say. So now, let's say 2 weeks later, or even longer than that, or sooner than that, 1 month later. Yani khalas, you owe him. He paid you in the scenario I'm giving you. You agreed to be hired. He even gave you your salary. Now you definitely have a debt. Then, yani, let's say 5 years later, he contacts you. Say, hi, I remember when I hired you 5 years ago for a task? Yeah, I want you to come take care of that now. You owe me. Then you're going to say, yes, Barakallahu feek, right away. Let me fulfill this monetary obligation of mine. I'll be there. What do you owe him, though? You owe him work, not money or time, whatever he hired you for. You owe him, let's say he hired you for the work, for the task. You owe him work, not money. Any questions so far? All right. So if that's what he can do for the guy who owes the work, likewise, the one who wants his salary, he can do the same thing at any time. He can come to him and say, my salary, please. Or he wants to be easygoing, like the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam. So he goes to his employer and he says, Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. I humbly come to you requesting my salary, if you wouldn't mind. Didn't you hear about the story of the 3 men who were trapped in a cave? 3 men from before the nation of Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They sought refuge in a cave from a downpour, a storm. And then a boulder came down and blocked the mouth of the cave, and they couldn't push it. So one of them said, nothing will save us but our good deeds. And each one told a story about a good deed that he did. And then he said, oh Allah, if I did this for your sake, then move the boulder for us. And each time it would move a little bit, not enough to get out, until the third one did it. And then it moved enough for them to get out. What was one of those? One of those was a man said, I had an employee. He left before he took his last salary. He said, so I took that salary of his and I invested it. How he invested it, his salary was, he invested it. And the result was that it became a valley full of livestock. A valley full of livestock. He said, one day the man came back to me and he said to me, my salary. So I said to him, you see all of this? It's all yours. So the man said, you mock me? I told him, no, I am not mocking you. It's all yours. He said, that man took all of it and he did not leave a single one. So I told you that story because it has in it a man who came back after time seeking his salary. That's valid. It's not going to be forfeited because he didn't take it in time. We talk about the request, requesting it immediately. And if you are able, when it is requested, yani, then you have to do it. What's similar to that? Similar to that is the dowry, the mahr of the woman. Same rule. A woman married a man and he owes her a mahr. So they can just agree what it is. Yani, they need to agree what it is. But they might do that without saying when it's due. Then when it's due? Upon request. If he has it when she requests it, in this case, he must give it to her then. Let's stop here. Do you have any question?